Aloha, my name is Anna Covert, and I'm coming to you from my battleship here on the beautiful island of Oahu. This week on the Covert Code, the topic is the future of data integrity and leads. And I'm joined by my special guest, Jack Burleigh, VP of Sales at U.S. Marketing Group. Over the past years, I've come to really respect U.S. Marketing Group for their data integrity and ability to really find and match my clients with the right type of data. So excited to have Jack here today to talk about how safeguarding data, improving lead quality, and building trust are really reshaping marketing today and how the companies that really can get this right will own the future. So thanks so much for being here today, Jack.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure working with you, and always excited to see what you throw at us because it's always different every single time.
And the party's just getting started with this whole ITC step wind down, the new opportunities all around us. But to kick things off, tell us a little bit about your professional journey. How did you end up at U.S. Marketing Group? And that's where we like to start off.
Yeah, like the how to. I was a rowdy college kid taking surf photos in Malibu. I was working at a spearfishing shop. It was my first sales job. I got it not knowing what spearfishing was, and you'll see it's a trend. I then got super obsessed into water photography, and I was swimming through Zuma Beach, and I bumped into my now owner, Jared, and I had plastic business cards in my wetsuit, and I handed it to him, and I was like, "Hey, $400 an hour. I take water photos of you. I'll get a picture of you in the barrel." And from there, I stay connected to them on Instagram. One day, he posted a fat Rolex. I was paying for school through the photography, but I saw the Rolex, and I was like, "Oh my God, what the heck? I thought you just ran a crazy Instagram page. You can't afford that Rolex." And that was an Instagram page. So I hit him up. I was like, "What do you do?" And he's like, "I own a marketing company." And I was like, "Great. I need an internship," because I was at a Cal State, and you need an internship to graduate the Cal State system.
Oh, wow.
So I asked him. So I asked him for an internship, and he said no. And I was like, "Dang it!" He's like, "You can have a job," and I was like, "Okay, I'm still gonna need to figure out this internship, but I would love a job," because I knew I was going to school for business management. Just I was always good at talking and listening to people, so I was like, "Okay, we can make a career out of that." Photography kind of harder to make a career at, so I knew I was going to end up in sales. So my medium was data, believe it or not. That's my weird niche in life is I know the value of data, and I can put an ear to different situations of lead gen, and I know what it's worth at a cost, and I know what it's worth at a profit. So what you can buy and sell it for essentially. And through US Marketing Group's amazing journey that I've had, I basically started literally on their sales floor. I slept on the sales floor,
Wow.
so I didn't have to pay for a studio to go to school. I would sell from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., then go do night classes. 2 years did that. COVID hit. We all went back home to work. And then like my sales just kept growing and growing, just kind of with how authentic I kind of am with people. So that's the abridged version. So literally from the ocean, sleeping on the sales floor on the air mattress, and then I just kept taking more and more initiative. Like, "Hey, Jared, I want more. I want to grow this. I want a sales team under me. I want to go to conferences and stuff like that."
Wow, that's a really great story. I love that. I love that story. So you're in California. So you have a really unique perspective on, I do a lot of work with privacy and compliance and, CCPA took effect a couple of years ago. That was, kind of a dumbed down version of the GDRP, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
you're right there. And there's been a lot of back and forth. We've gone over it over the years of the FCC or whatever it is, or what is it? FCC, the one
It's
that,
always it seems like
yeah.
there's always new companies and they're always
Always
changing,
something
they're always
new.
making it
And
harder.
that they were gonna to have this opt-in and the rules were changing and then they decided, oh no, that's unconstitutional. And now the data can
Now it's good.
be
It's
right.
yeah.
So
It's just,
being in California and your company, what is your unique perspective on data integrity today? Like what, because what we're hearing in the market is that, oh, leads suck. It's because data is being resold. It's not right when it is sold. What is the real deal?
um data's always resold. If anybody's telling you that they have exclusive data, just know that they're lying to you. It's really, unless it's a nobody who really doesn't have a network to sell it to. But realistically, owned data is just like it just doesn't exist. The whole compliancy thing is way outside of the scope of my job inside a US marketing group. So I can't really speak on like what we're doing to combat it. I realistically get a product list from our owners and then I pump it and I have the intricacies of knowing where to push it to and who's it right for. So I can't really speak on the compliancy side of things. I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. But what are you seeing in the market? I mean, what are you hearing? I mean, because CEE just went out of business, clean energy.
Yeah.
What's everyone's afraid. But I've seen that really like direct mail, other approaches, maybe it's not, what are you doing with the data that you're getting? Like that's always my initial question is like, okay, are you violating the rules of just basic human dignity? Like, are you emailing people that have not opted in? Oh, well, we got a poor result. Well, these people don't know who you are. And of course,
Yeah.
result, right? You're texting people who don't know who you are. Like, you maybe, we know,
Yeah.
if we share, they'd have a call center. It's been much more successful, calling. But what is your process? And I've been kind of, going back to a lot of mail in recent. I know you guys
Yeah.
mail. Tell me about what you're seeing in the market.
So realistically, what I'm seeing in the market is a, and I can kind of speak from it from selling marketing services, is the high ticket sell of other agencies selling you a full build out, like a full outbound build out. And that could be through AI, that could be through overseas agents, and that could always be through mediums such as like direct mail, SMS, or even text. So those big five realistically. And the way that you can go about doing outbound is very strict. But I realistically, we we as a vendor, we ask you what you need from us. We don't advise you on what you should do. We sell you the bullets, you shoot the gun. That's kind of the analogy. In a granular scope, I just don't think a lot of people are aware of the law because of that problem of the marketing agency selling a full build out realistically. And maybe the marketing agency owners that pump out these really great built in a box situations that aren't as educated because the law, especially in California, is always changing and it's super strict and super hard. If you actually built it the right way, your cost per acquisition would be going through the roof and most business owners couldn't even afford it. So I still think it's the Wild West, and that's why our industry is so scrutinized and constantly looked at. So
Literally. So what do you think makes US Marketing Group stand out from all these other providers of data?
our owners, realistically, they're the ones that are putting in like the idea of cost to be the boss. I look at what my bosses do and I'm like, I have a family. I would never see them with how much effort they put in. I've been with US Marketing Group for 7 years. I realistically don't see myself going anywhere because of the work that they do in to keep us compliant, to keep us having great data, and to keep us having great results, and their flexibility to deal with the hard buyers or the easy buyers. I've learned so much since coming out of college. Just I could go sell anything, and just the sales skills that I picked up from working so closely with them is astronomical. So what I think it separates us is just how long we've been in the industry, our customer service, and our commitment to the client. Those big three.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And then, I think just for listeners who may not know all the things that we know about data, I think one of the interesting parts that, and the deeper you go down like the rabbit hole, you'll find is that there are so many different ways to cut data, right? Or
Yeah.
data, right? And really like, are you tracking it? I mean, I think people go just wild, the wild, wild west of, oh, they get so many different lists, and then they're not really paying attention to, okay, well, what was it? Was it, because you can get much cheaper data if it's over 12 months, right? Versus
Yeah.
30-day. And
Yeah.
so how do you, like when you're listening to a client, what are some tips for people who are listening on questions to ask the data provider to get the best data outcome?
Realistically, if they don't ask you how you're going to use it, like if you're the one leading the sales calls, telling them how like you plan on going through the essentially the Excel file, they have real no interest in like showing like getting you to the result that scales. With us, it's when I was training reps and building sales teams here, we would break it down a sales call into 7 questions, and basically it would be like, how many reps? What's the CRM? How do you plan to reach out? What's your first touch going to be? What's your hours of commitment? What's your budget? And how long have you been doing it? 7 qualifying questions. And we'd run a sales call like that. And from that blueprint, we have so many different data sets. We'd be able to recommend basically different data sets based off the scenarios of your CRM. Because the easiest thing to do is buy data. The hardest thing to do is turn it into something. The Excel is green, doesn't mean it's going to turn into anything green. That's what we tell people. And that's the biggest mistake people make is they buy too much and they don't put the rounds on it.
They totally
So
mature. Then they're not really tracking when it is working. They're like, "Oh, it's working," but then they haven't taken the stuff to be like, "Oh, wait a minute, we loaded all these different types of lists of different ages of different, you know, filters, and now we're not sure which list it was that we have found like some success with."
and it's been beautiful, like getting to work with your clients because we send the data over and it's like, hey, this data sucks. Okay, perfect. Like that's the biggest thing that we always get. You always tell your marketing company, oh, the leads suck. And then working with someone like yourself, you can tell me exactly where it sucks, why it sucks, and how it sucks, and what we can do to make sure it doesn't suck more. So like that's the value I realistically see in individuals like ourselves is where we can bridge that gap for business owners, especially with the power of utilizing like a CRM and like the amount of sales calls I do where people are still using Google Sheets on their cell phone. It scares me, but just having the CRM is realistically like your first step. If you want to start talking about data, get a CRM. It's usually less than $300 a month. That'd be your first step.
Yeah, like we always know, I'm a big Go High Level fan, and then
Yeah.
it truly is less than 300 or less,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that's so true. So what is your perspective on like, what's happening with companies in terms of shifting their perspective on lead generation? Is it
Yeah, I
need to change?
it's changing every day and it's getting a lot faster because of AI. I'm super excited about it because the leads are getting better realistically, but we're also capturing a lot less because of the different plugins that you can use to kind of qualify a lead. So there's getting less leads, and but at the same time, they are better leads. So I'm excited for what we're putting out. And then what's coming down the pipe is the biggest problem realistically when I started at US Marketing Group was there was no CRM that our clients love to use. Go High Level is still readily available. Customer support is there, and there's gurus that you can just pay for that. Like I have a guru for Go High Level. I take a piece of paper and I build out the workflow and then he programs it. Like I do it the classic example on a postcard or a napkin at the bar, and that idea comes to life. But AI is going to make speed to lead so much easier. I'm seeing so many people just, and I think that's where it's at. I think that's the cusp of it. Um, speed to lead to confirm an appointment. Most people don't really want to talk to an individual on the phone. So if they can just, oh, shoot, I filled out this form. Oh, someone's texting me. Oh, beautiful. They have times available. They like gave me 3. That one looks good. Perfect. Done. AI. Well, all done in a box. Right. So, the scary thing though is it could be good enough to cold call, and that's what the first person to figure that out is gonna make a lot of money.
Actually, I have a demo later today with someone who proved to me that they could use AI to do
Yeah,
calling for me, and I was like, and then they sent me a demo of it, and I was like, this is pretty good. So
yeah,
I'm up on a phone with them, but I think it's right. I think that it's even going to become faster. I mean, I'm waiting for someone to really, one of my favorite things about Go High Level is when you're on the Go High Level and you like need help, and they immediately put you into a queue for Zoom.
yeah. You could join like a group Zoom too sometimes with somebody. Like what other customer support like company has something that's that fast?
That's how fast it's got to be for, for home services. I think it's like, oh, you want to talk to someone right now? Well, we can add you into a queue, or like telehealth. Is it?
Yeah,
What are your symptoms? Right? You need to know
yeah,
your symptoms of this. Oh, okay. Like we got someone you can talk to right now, or you can
mhm,
schedule something. Right?
yeah.
So, we talked about AI. Are you using AI, or are there any tools people can use for AI to help, I guess nurture?
Yeah. Not really. I can speak more on tools that I use in sales
Okay.
directly. I can't really speak, and then I can give a recommendation for age lead calling because I met a really great one at lead calling. It's my number one voucher right now.
Right.
That's one that I use in my day to day sales is Otter, and it's pretty. Chances are you know about Otter because someone joined a Google Meet and then they had Otter, and now you get the email notifications, and you're like, what is this? So
Yes.
I'll tell you, just do the free plugin. If you're someone like myself and deals with a lot of people, and then something comes up from a meeting 2 weeks ago that you need the notes on, beautiful. Because you
Will
basically,
one warning though. Okay.
yeah,
So I use Read AI, and I love it.
okay,
But one thing to be on the lookout for is when it sends automatically to people on the list. And here's how you can get into trouble. And it happened to
yeah,
me. So me and my we were on a call with a client, and they were late to the meeting. So we were talking up before they got on the call,
Oh yeah.
and then they
Sorry,
got off the
forget.
call.
Had
Someone
that happen.
talked about them after the call. Okay, and then it sent them this message, right? And then someone's reading it.
Yeah.
They were like very upset, right? Someone on the team was very, very upset about it. So I
Yeah.
I got immediately like, and so I just when it happened with, and the team was like, no, you do not want that to happen. You want it for yourself, but you do not
Yeah.
necessarily want it. It can be very dangerous to send it to the client.
If you're using Otter AI, do not shit talk your client before the Zoom meeting. That is what we're trying to save you from. That's
Or just
basically.
anything. I mean, anything
Yeah.
like that. It doesn't even have to be shit talking. It could be like things that you're like internally. Did you do this? You don't
Yeah.
to be
Or don't tell you like about don't be talking to your wife in the background about
right,
those.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that can be something that to be
Yeah, that's happened to us or me directly. So that's a funny one. Best AI that we recommend right now. Great company, Balto. Huge fan of them. Yeah, Balto. I'll have to Google it. I'm in sales because I can sell and not spell.
I can't spell either. I like that spell.
So it's an integration that basically can overlay on top of your predictive dialer. The value of it is recruiting retention. The most frustrating thing I go through hiring, training, I quit. And you're like, where's 2 weeks of my life down the drain? It'll basically run suggestive objection handling in front of your live call while you're on the phone with that prospect. So if someone's like, they often do flashcards, right, for objection handling. That's how you practice. It can do it. It can plug straight into Go High Level. And if the homeowner, if you're booking for solar, says like, hey, it's just going to be me at the appointment. My wife won't be there. It'll give you a rebuttal instantly. I don't think conversational AI is fast enough to keep up with the cadence, but we can use AI for coaching and helping retain people. Balto, check it out. They're expensive. So
Sounds
that's
really.
what we suggest. Yeah.
That sounds really cool. Thanks for that. So, um, I guess where do you think looking ahead? What do you think is beyond AI? Is there anything else that's coming that's going to change or rattle the data industry?
I hope it picks up because with AI and call centers becoming more norm, I hope it starts spiking up some sales. I think the problem is enough people aren't getting the slap on the wrist. That most of the sales are coming just from aggregated like skip trace homeowner data, and people are really risking what they're doing by just using like essentially yellow pages data through these outbound machines. So it's risky business. It's your business at the end of the day. So do whatever you want to do in your business, but it is risky. So I'd like to see it come back to more opt-in. That's all.
Yeah, we talk about that idea of like, zero party data, right? Which is like there's first party data, there's third party data, and then there's zero party data. And that's obviously
Yeah.
the best because it's like they're less degraded, right? That they actually
Yeah.
opted in, and then they're looking for you. They want that,
Yeah.
and as time
Not everybody can not everybody can afford customized like advertising though. Like realistically, if you're looking for zero data, like that's 40 to 60 grand a month of custom ads, media buyer, and that is your secret sauce. So it's hard. And like 40 to 60 grand on a perspective out of 100 companies in the home service space, you're talking maybe 30% actually have that. And then from there, it just skyrockets because most of these construction companies that we deal with are realistically sub $2 million contractors. And $2 million on paper after with 30% profit, 300K. That's a beautiful take home for a business owner at the end of the day. So
What would you say your niche is? I mean, it's home services. Do you do other types? I mean, you've got help me with other types of data. What kind of data can people get from you?
So I joined US Marketing Group not knowing what a lead was. So that's why I picked solar because I understood what solar was. Me trying to figure out insurance and all the different types of life insurance there are, final expense and all that blew my mind. I just could not. So I figured out solar. So my niche is home services. I get along with blue collar. I can talk to contractors every day of the week. U.S. Marketing Group as a whole, though, is debt, mortgage, any of the insurance. I'm talking home warranty all the way to life insurance, in between auto, Medicare, ACA, and then there's investor leads. And I pretty much covered all the debt, insurances, mortgage, anything home improvement nowadays. And those are kind of our big four staple. And if I'm blanking on one, sorry, U.S. Market.
Oh, I mean, that's one of the ones I wanted to actually talk about because I think a lot now with, not to talk too much about solar, 'cause I know eventually we're going to talk about that on the solar coaster, but
Yeah.
the solar coaster podcast. But I think that because solar has had such a bad name, right, or has gotten kind of in some markets a little bit of a dirty name. People they don't want to let you in their homes talk about solar, but they do want to talk about energy efficiency, right?
Yeah.
And how to be more efficient, and that could include
Community solar, all the plugins that help like
windows,
save. Yeah.
exactly, HVAC, roofing, all those types of things. And I think as the ITC winds down here, it's going to be very, very important for those companies that are going to survive to be able to sell just that, more
Yeah.
out the whole story, because homeowners want a plan. They might not be able to afford solar right away without getting loans are going through the shitter, right? I mean, basically,
Yeah.
hard to get a loan, and without the tax credit, do you even want one? But they might be able to get an attic, or some attic ducting or whatever they call it, and or something like that, and then save a couple $100 a month.
Yeah. My 2 cents, without talking about 20 minutes, which we can do on the solar coaster, is
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot harder for solar companies to start incorporating home service sales, where the people going that way are going to experience more friction than the home service sales that are essentially already doing it, like attic, bathrooms, gutters, like in all those home services. They'll have a flow of people going this way. They'll be able to pick up and add a solar division like that. Whereas the people trying to figure out how to install HVAC that come from the solar background, your best bet is just join a company and hopefully be that key player that can figure out their solar department.
That's a really good.
That's my 2 cents.
I think that's great. That's great. That's a great point. Well, thank you, Jack. How can people get a hold of you and tell us how?
Best way would be, if my cell phone's always great, but I don't want to put that out there in the universe. Realistically, Jack at usmarketinggrp.com or www.jackburleigh.me. And Burleigh is Burleigh. It's horrible. So that is a great way to get a hold of me.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for being here today. We'll also have more information on the podcast once it goes live, on how to connect with Jack on social profiles like LinkedIn. And
Yeah.
next week as I interview another industry expert and a topic to help you succeed on and offline. Thank you so much for all your support. We're almost at 40,000 subscribers on YouTube, and that's because of your Kuliana. So please make sure to like us, to share the content with your friends, and I will see you next week in the Pixels. Aloha. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Covert Code Podcast. If you're loving the insights we share here, don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast platform and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more digital innovators like you. Share this episode with your friends and colleagues on social media and help spread the word. And if you're in the solar space or just curious about where clean energy is headed, I'm thrilled to announce my brand new podcast, The Solar Coaster. This show digs into the real stories, trends, and challenges of the solar industry, with bold conversations and powerful takeaways you won't hear anywhere else. Follow the Solar Coaster now so you don't miss a single episode. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the Pixels. Aloha.